Kimcho, and welcome to the Wendell effect for the week of the 20th of November. This is Brian Wendell with the Indian markets for our video here. Before we get started, just need to remind you we are not broker dealers or investment advisors. We're looking at this information from an educational standpoint only, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold any particular securities or giving any personalized recommendations. Past performance is no indication of future results. There's always risk involved in the markets. No matter what we do, we can't eliminate it. We just try to minimize it. And we're not subject to trading restrictions. We can have position in security and issue one at any time. And of course, keep in touch with me. I'd love to hear back from you and get some feedback about what you're liking or not liking about the videos, so I can customize it more towards what you are wanting to see and can be used for your own personal trading information. You can also hit me up on Twitter at MattTraderBDub. I do a lot of tweeting there as well. I will let you know I'm going to be on vacation for a week, so there will not be a video next week because it's American holiday coming up. It's the American Thanksgiving. So again, I'll be on vacation for a week. It's also my wife's birthday, more importantly, so I got to make sure I spend some time with her. We're getting away for a little bit. So getting into the markets for this week, November 20th, in the Indian markets, we got some mixed markets here. You can see in consumer non-durables and consumer durables, we were very, very red with just Tata Motors on the green side. Banking was mixed, and Reliance was flat. Other than that, technology was a little bit bullish. That's really the only sector that showed a lot of bullishness here so far in the Nifty 50. Looking at the Nifty itself, you can see we came up to the first target from my projection on the weekly chart. We almost got there. We've got this indecisive candle. So we are in the bullish territory when it comes to momentum, but not sure if we're going to be able to continue or we're going to get a retracement here first. As a matter of fact, you know what I should do is just check the seasonal movement for the Nifty. Okay, so here I am on Season X, and I'm looking at the Nifty 50. Over the last 25 years, got to get an idea of what it normally does this time of year. And you can see, it looks like we just put in a bottom on the 20th. And typically for the next couple weeks, or at least a week, about 88% of the time, the Nifty starts to rise. Again, that's over 25 years. There's only been 3 times, and last year was one of them, 2021. But the last 3 times, you see 98, 17, and 21 were the times the market went down. Other than that, between the November 20th and December 2nd, 88% of the time, the Nifty went up with an average return of 2.5%. So this should be pretty bullish this week. Let me go back into my slides here. And we have indecision. That could be our little pullback, but we're still very, very bullish and are likely to be able to continue to move up next week. Obviously, we'll look to see if we break the high or low of this indecision candle. If we do get a pullback, which the Nifty wants to pull back, it's a little overbought and may have already done it. You see that pullback there on Friday's candle. We did have a negative divergence, which led to some of that weakness coming in. Not sure if it's going to pull back more, but it may only go down to 18,100 before we get another move back up. So I'm not expecting a lot of bearishness. We're either going to go sideways or up this week in the Nifty, it looks like. Going down to the 4-hour chart, we might see, if we do drop to that 18.1, we do have demand just underneath that at 18,040 to 17,969. So we'll see if that's what happens. But we did have, again, a divergence where prices made higher highs on less momentum. Usually leads to a bit of a pullback, but not a reversal of the trend in this case. Moving into some of the components here, you can see Reliance did fall down last week, and we had red candles for the beginning of the week, a little bit of bullishness at the end. So we might be done with our pullback. You can see this is what happens when you have divergence. You get the higher high on less momentum, and prices stumble. Not reverse, but just stumble. So it looks as though we finished with a bullish candle on Friday. If we break the high of Friday's candle, we should be able to continue up. And my upside target is 2730 eventually. It won't happen next week. We may get up into maybe the 2650 area, but keep an eye out for that. Reliance, as I looked at the seasonal movements from the 20th of November to the 5th of December, 72% of the time, almost 3/4 of the time in the last 25 years in a bigger period. But over that time, it's usually up about 2 and a little over 1/4%. So 2.33% average return during that time. So yeah, still looking pretty bullish to that market. And we go to Infosys, same thing, 73.91% of the time for the same period. It is actually up 3.85% on average. Last year was one of the fails. But for the most part, this should be a bullish time for Infosys. So we look at the chart, and we had a pullback. And not surprisingly, happened after a little divergence. But we only pulled back to this 1579.75 area before it looks like we're getting ready to run. So if we break the high of Friday, expect prices to move up to 1621 basically is my next target. HDFC Bank also hit a Fibonacci extension. We didn't even stall at the 100%, but we did stall at the 1.618 of our previous impulse. We might get a little more of a pullback. We've only gone to 23.6% on this retracement. Maybe that's it. We're very, very bullish, and it looks like the price wants to go higher. So again, if we can break out of the highs from Friday on these securities, we're probably going to continue to push higher. Bajaj Financial Services, FinServ Limited, fell down. It looked like it was going to hold at this demand zone, but as you can see, we ended up breaking down, and we're not actually in a bearish move yet, but we're close. Now, so you can see we pulled back quite a bit, and we're not in bearish territory. If we go below 40, then I would expect the next demand zone not to hold, even though it has been tested multiple times. This, obviously, we had that long opportunity we were looking at, and we did multiple tests of that area, but it may give us another one. It depends. Right now, if we go below 40, we're probably going to break demand. And not only that, but this area could become a new supply zone. As a matter of fact, I should probably draw that out. Let me go out to my live charts. Whoops, wrong page. There it is. And here we go. There it is. NSE. So basically what I'm looking at here on the daily time frame is, prices started reversing a little bit. And now my zone becomes this. It is a supply zone, which could lead to some selling pressure. So let me zoom in a little more. There we go. And basically what we're looking at here is if prices go below 40 before they rally, then I would actually look to sell 1708.50 as a short if you can, obviously intraday or overnight if you got futures, whatever you can do with it. But, right here, we should be able to drop below that demand zone, and our next target would actually be, this is not necessarily a good zone, to be honest with you. This could free fall. It looks like our next target to the downside for a short here would actually be this. All the way down at about 13. Come on. There we go. 1338.90, so 1339 basically. But again, if we bounce and hit this zone without going below 40 first, then it may not have enough power to get down. I really need to see a lot of selling pressure coming in before I call that as a good shorting candidate. Other than that, I may just stall out and go a bit sideways, but we definitely do not have a lot of bullish activity going on there. In the Bank Nifty weekly, we are still very, very strong, pushing higher. We are losing a little bit of momentum, but we're still pushing higher. We made a higher high both in price and momentum, and we're still moving towards that upside target of 43,288. So it looks as though next week will probably continue to be a little more bullish. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to get a little pullback for a fresh low, but eventually we'll also make a higher high and probably close higher this week. Looking at the daily chart, again, no signs of weakness. We're getting more momentum as we go higher. The only thing that's showing me weakness is we're not moving up as fast as we did before. The angle of attack was very strong here. We paused, and now it's not as strong. But we're still pushing higher towards 43,000. And on the 4-hour chart, looking like we might get a small pullback, but if we do, it's only going to pull back to maybe 41,635. There's actually a little basing before we gapped up, so we could try to close the gap before going higher. But that would be a buy opportunity. So some new trade ideas we had, actually just follow up on the old ones here with TCS. 73% of the time for the 14th of November to December 1st, we have that rally. Might have had a little dip first, but we need that to get into demand. And actually, did I forget to put in the chart here? Let me take a look. I think I might have. No, we should have the chart here. Let me see what's going on. There it is. It just took a little while. So for this week, the chart, you can see that we are basically still just pushing up against the supply. We didn't pull back to get into demand yet, unfortunately. So I don't like taking breakout trades. If we do break out of the supply, I would wait for a retest of it as demand first before I go long, and then make a target of about 34.77, and of course some other targets above. So that's it for this week's analysis. If you got any questions, again, shoot me an email, brandonwendell.cmt@gmail.com. You can hit me up also at TraderBdub on Twitter. And until next time, trade safe, trade well. Take care, everybody.